to protect the forest? A gun! I know that most people already talked about the 2.5 update, but I have footage still from the 2.4 update and I want to talk about it, so let's get started. As always, this video will be divided into different sections, so if you don't want to hear the summary, you can just skip ahead to the pros and cons. I'll meet you there. But for those of you who were not able to play this event or just wanted to recap on the story, I'm going to give you the summary. Basically, a shroomling is worried about somebody called Grandma because she's getting sick and the forest is getting worse, so he's not actually able to go and visit her. So we're tasked with finding her and giving her food. On the way, we find a strange lady who forces us to drink some soup and tells us to attend a funeral. After following a trail of breadcrumbs, we find Grandma, who just got a drink from Mr. Rabbit. She starts telling us a story about Mad Red Riding Hood and the Big Dark Wolf, and as the story is getting interesting, she dies. Immediately after that, the three little pigs say it's time for the funeral and just start going to the funeral. So we go to attend her funeral to pay her respects, and all the guests, who are esselings but they don't have any dark essence, they start praising somebody called Lord Nikos. Praise be to Lord Nikos, Nikos, or whatever. Using the moonlit stone that we receive, we can actually hear the truth behind what they're saying, and we hear a story of betrayal and death. The funeral gets interrupted by the Big Dark Wolf, and we are transported back to the beginning of where our story started, as we were going to go see Grandma. So we go looking for the same strange lady that we found previously, and we are very strongly coerced into drinking another bowl of soup, but this time we completely reject it, which seems to be the correct answer from what happens in the story. We listen to different stories being told by different essence-less esselings, and it's basically a twist on classic fairy tales where someone takes over in deceitful ways and another person resists. And also there's always some kind of mother figure in these stories. We try to save Grandma again, but she still dies, and the whole funeral process starts all over again, the same exact words, these same exact people. This time we look for the wolf, which actually is just a baby behemoth, and we find out that the wolf is actually the strange lady that was giving us bowls of soup. She explains that everyone has been stuck in a loop that has been shortening. She interrupts the funerals because if she doesn't, everyone will die. So after the next interrupted funeral, we find out that she's also the Mad Red Riding Hood. Originally, her name was just Little Red Riding Hood. She and the other creatures, the other esselings, were made by Ritalli, a titan who was rejected by the other titans because she didn't like all the machinery. Red Riding Hood, that's how I'm going to be calling her from now on. She exists like this because Nikos erased her from existence and made all the other creatures worship him. The only solution to stop this loop from repeating itself is to go to Ritalli's lair, her hideaway or whatever you want to call it, which Red Riding Hood couldn't access before. She tried different ways, but she just couldn't get there. When we get to the lair or the hideout, we find a gift left behind by Ritalli to give to Red Riding Hood, which she says is for her coming of age. She was told that when she learns to love the forest, Ritalli would teach her how to protect it. Hence the gift. We actually find out that Nikos killed Ritalli and pretended that her work was his. Since he also got rejected from Titan society, he ended up failing in making something, and apparently he needed to be nursed back to health, which is what Ritalli did, and as thanks, he killed her. We join forces with Red Riding Hood to kill the scavenger using her gift. What do we need to protect the forest? A gun!
Let me see what you have!
No!
Oh my god, what is it?
After the loop ends, everyone celebrates with their coming of age ceremony, and they live out the rest of their stories that were written out by Ritalli. The end. that's the main story of the event. Let's get to the pros. I genuinely liked the side quests, especially the story about the Three Mighty Shroomlings. I know I literally just did a summary, so I will try to make the Three Mighty Shroomlings story as short as possible. Basically, there used to be a group of Shroomlings that did good everywhere and then they disappeared. It looks like they came back. We find out that it's not them, it's a bunch of little kids, little Shroomling kids who want to be like the Three Mighty Shroomlings, and this grumpy old man is trying to stop them from doing it. We find out that he was part of the original Three Mighty Shroomlings. There is a whole thing about his past, about how all of the other people died because of him, basically, and he feels a lot of regret and he doesn't think anybody should be brave. Everybody should just stay where they are. There's no point in being brave anymore. But then he ends up saving everybody and he gets to have like closure with the people who died. It's a really cute story. I liked it. Another pro is that the mini games were all doable. They were not too complicated. Some of the levels obviously are a little bit hard to do, but all of them were doable. And Momo's new fighting ability is a nice addition. It came with this update. Now the cons. The main story, in my opinion, was really confusing. I thought that it might have been just that I wasn't paying enough attention when I was originally playing it, but even when I looked back at my footage, to do this video, stuff just didn't make much sense. I won't be getting into the loopholes and inconsistencies in this video, although I did do that in my previous review, but just the whole thing with Ritalli and Nikos and the esselings who aren't esselings should have been thought out more, in my opinion. And the lip movements never lined up. I have complained about this in the past, but it seemed to have gone away, but in this event in specific, it was really bad. You'd think that they'd be able to line up the lip movements since 90% of the characters in this story don't even have conventional mouths, but apparently not.
彼は恩人のリタルヒさんの発明を盗んでその子供たちまで傷つけた。狼に姿を変えた後、ママの部屋に力ずくで入ろうとしたこともあった。だが怪物でしかない私は外敵用の仕掛けに阻まれるばかりだった。
So you can clearly see that the mouth movements are definitely supposed to be for the Chinese version. On my game, I have the audio in Japanese, and it never lines up. There's also a problem with translation, where I know that they're saying something in Japanese that is not being translated into English, and this becomes very clear in the scene where Red Riding Hood joins with us. In the Japanese version, Nikki is basically saying let's do this together to try to make Red Riding Hood not succumb to the darkness, basically.
今必要なのは私と一緒に。
And then when she leaps out at Nikki, she says together.
一起。
In the English version, Nikki does not say, let's do this together. She says, you have to try, basically. I don't remember exactly the words, but she says, you just have to try. And then when Red Riding Hood jumps out at Nikki, she says, with me. So, the impact is not the same. I don't know how they're translating this. I've noticed this translation problems previously, but in this one it was very apparent. Both the lip movements and the translation problems were very apparent. Once again, as I complained about in my previous review video, the new buildings and shops thing is not my favorite. It's yet one more thing that you need to micromanage, and now with the new buildings that they added, I actually need the styling companions to be able to pass some of those styling contests, which is a huge bummer because now, besides trying to get the most stats out of my clothing and my Eureka, I have to also worry about leveling up my companions. So it's one more thing that you have to think about, one more thing that you have to do daily, and it's just, it doesn't really add anything for me. It's just waste my time that I could be spending actually enjoying the game, in my opinion. And Momo, yes, he does get a new fighting ability, but I'm sorry, he's pretty useless out in the open. For the arena, for closed spaces, he does fine. But in the open world, he just doesn't show up, or he shows up too late, so what's the point? You didn't do anything. And also, capping out his combat skill points to only 100 per day doesn't seem right to me, because after fighting one group of monsters, it's done. Like, if you want people to use Momo as your fighting companion, instead of using like the other ability that they added into the game, I forgot the name, I'll put it here, you know what I'm talking about. Instead of using them to use Momo, they should have made Momo more appealing. But, oh well. Now to the conclusion. Honestly, this event wasn't for me, and that's totally fine. The previous event had its problems, but it was definitely my vibe, and I enjoyed it overall, and this one just wasn't for me. That happens. I am not the world demographic. I understand that sometimes it's just not gonna do well with me. I do wish, though, that they had spent more time fleshing out the main story. It had a lot of potential, but it didn't go very far. Maybe this was a translation problem, like I mentioned, or maybe it's just that the story was not very well developed, but it could have been a great story, and it wasn't. I really liked the Three Mighty Shroomlings story. It should have been its own event. I don't know why they decided to add it like halfway through the event. I really think it deserved its own event with like its own objectives and its own mini games. I think it would have been an amazing event because the story had so much to add, like so much backstory and so many different characters. I really do believe it should have been its own event and not just been half of this event. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they should try making longer events, like instead of it lasting like 20 days, maybe make it last closer to like 40 days. Or maybe they should try to focus on one story instead of two, because I do realize that the quality of these stories is going down. I don't know if it's just because I'm being nitpicky because I'm doing videos and I have to talk, but I have noticed a decline in some of the stories. Before, it used to be a really big event that had like a lot of stuff, and then one small event that was like, yeah, it's okay. And then a big event again, and then a small-ish event. Now it seems like they're trying to do both at the same time, and it's just not working. I know that this update came right before the 2.51, which added a new region to the map, which I have not been able to play yet. But I complained about this in my other previous review video. I don't think it's an excuse. I think it just means that you need to tone down your approach so that you get a better result and not just a mediocre result, in my opinion. That is it for this video. I would love to know what you thought. Was this event for you? Is this your vibe? Did you also get a little bit confused as to what the story was trying to say? Let me know what you think. I'd love to talk to you in the comments. And stay tuned because I will be reviewing the 2.5 update. I am so excited to be able to play. I have not been able to play it just because of time constraints, but I'm excited. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!